With 2026 being the new 2016, but worse, I've been thinking about the good old days of 10 years ago and how different the TV landscape used to be. It's wild to think, but 2016 was still a very cable TV dominated time, with Netflix being the only real streaming service out there. And even then, it wasn't really a source of new TV, since Stranger Things hadn't even started yet, and Netflix didn't really have many original hits to its name. Back then, if you wanted to watch a new episode of your favorite show when it dropped, you'd need to be planted by your TV at the scheduled airtime, or else you'd be SOL for catching the whole episode. And unless you were recording it through DVR, there was no pausing, no rewinding, and no skipping through the 15 minutes of ads they make you sit through. Times were very different. Now compare that to today's streaming dominant landscape, where new shows sometimes release full seasons at a time. You can go to the bathroom free of fear of a commercial break ending, and even if it does, you can simply rewind the show to where you left off. There are undeniably a large number of benefits that streaming TV can provide. However, one of my and many people's biggest gripes with the system is how many damn shows there are to watch. Just last year, HBO Max put out The Pitt, The White Lotus, Heated Rivalry, It Welcome to Derry, The Last of Us, Peacemaker, I Love LA, The Chair Company, Hacks, and The Roast. And that's just one service. This overwhelming amount of content constantly being released makes it extremely difficult for a new series to culturally break through without either being first tied to a franchise or having a viral social media push. So today, I want to lend a helping hand and tell you guys about some of my favorite streaming shows that were unable to create the conversation I think each of them deserves. Mind you, these are only shows that I've seen, so if there's one missing that you think deserves to be on here, please let me know down in the comments, and maybe I'll make another one of these down the line. Let's get things started with number 1.
It's the end of the fucking world.
The End of the Fucking World originally aired on British cable in 2017 before arriving on Netflix the next year, and ran for 2 seasons. The show follows a teen boy named James who may or may not think he's a psychopath. He kills animals for fun, once stuck his hand in a deep fryer just to feel something, and now has his sights set on killing a person. And after the new girl at school, Alyssa, becomes romantically interested in him, he decides that she's gonna be his target. Now, Alyssa has a pretty rough home life, with her mother neglecting her in favor of her new baby siblings, and her stepfather being an all-around abusive creep. And one day, after an especially heated fight with her parents, Alyssa decides she's gonna run away and wants James to come with her. Obviously he agrees, since it would make her murder easier to get away with. After James knocks out his dad and steals his car, the two head off to God knows where. The rest of the show plays out like a darker version of Lemony Snicket's A Series of Unfortunate Events books, with each episode set in a different location from the last, and our main characters meeting new, but ultimately terrible people wherever they go, all the while bringing James and Alyssa closer together as he continuously plots her murder. Around episode 4, the series takes an unexpected shift in focus, raising the stakes even higher and leading to some moments where I was genuinely terrified for the characters. Now, while the show is mostly serious, it also finds a way to be hilarious in its own twisted way. The series is British, so the humor is very dry and sarcastic, which could be a turnoff for some people, but trust me when I say it works. Both of the main characters have been through a great deal of trauma, so for them to be standoffish and blunt works and suits them perfectly.
Okay.
I honestly don't want to say anything more about this one because it's seriously that good, and I'd be doing you a disservice to your viewing experience. If you like the subversive twists of Barry and the comedy style of Nathan Fielder, I'd definitely check this one out.
Judge, jury, duty.
Releasing on Amazon Prime in 2023, this docuseries follows a jury as they deliberate a civil lawsuit between a woman and her former employee. Now, this admittedly extremely boring premise is completely shaken up by the fact that not only is the entire court case fake, but every single person involved besides one is an actor. The judge, an actor. The defendant, an actor. The entire jury minus one, all actors. Turns out this production had been in the works for months, with characters, storylines, and insane personal situations being planned out in order to mess with this guy as much as possible. Our one non-actor here is Ronald Gladden, who's never been on a jury and thought the camera crew was just there for a straight-to-cable documentary about the legal process. Ron is a definition golden retriever, extremely wholesome, social, and a very go-with-the-flow kind of guy, which makes him the perfect little test subject for a series like this. He doesn't question when real-life actor James Marsden, who's just playing a douchebag version of himself, starts bragging about his new role in the Sonic the Hedgehog movie. He goes home and watches the movie so he can talk to his new friend James about it. He doesn't question when the jury gets sequestered for weeks over what was supposed to be a simple civil case. He instead stays positive and makes the best of the situation. He does question when this guy asked him for help soaking with a girl he just met on the jury. If you don't know what that means, you're lucky. But he doesn't question when James Marsden happily steps in to do it for him. Like, this guy is a national treasure. The amount of absolutely bonkers situations they put him in where he keeps a level head and actually helps out is astounding. Obviously, they do ultimately tell Ron that nothing in his last few weeks of life had been real, which is just as entertaining as it sounds, but that still didn't take away from the bonds he had made over the course of the trial. And apparently, the group still hangs out from time to time, James Marsden and all. This show is both laugh out loud hilarious and slightly twisted in the best way possible. And with only 8 30-minute episodes, it's perfect for a little binge. If you're a fan of Parks and Rec and The Office, I'd definitely give this one a shot. So while I was editing this video, they announced and dropped a trailer for a Jury Duty spin-off series where the team made a whole-ass fake company just to take a random person on a crazy company retreat. It looks like the first season on crack, and I cannot wait. So go watch that when it comes out in March. Okay, bye.
Suddenly you realize you'll never have the good relationship you wanted.
God, I'm already getting emotional. Releasing on Netflix in April of 2020. Damn, that's unfortunate. And co-created by Cartoon Network legend Pendleton Ward and stand-up comedian Duncan Trussell, The Midnight Gospel follows my boy Clancy. He's just your run-of-the-mill multiverse traveling podcaster, a real average Joe. Along his travels, he interviews the different people and creatures he meets about some seriously heavy topics like death, drugs, religion, and the very concept of a soul, which does sound pretty cool on its own. But what really makes this show special is that almost none of it is scripted. Clancy is voiced by co-creator Duncan Trussell, and every conversation he has in this show is ripped from real-life conversations he's had with different comedians, writers, and even his own mom. Because of this, The Midnight Gospel is as authentic, emotional, and deeply existential as a show can get, all while featuring this beautiful, colorful, and almost childlike animation. Each episode is literally and figuratively a different world from the last, due to the different topics of conversation, but all of them maintain the same sense of charm and whimsy that keeps you from looking away. The show doesn't even really concern itself with an overarching plot, since it's more focused on the conversations and just letting you sit with what these people have to say. And if you're still not sold, this show has the honor of being the only piece of television that has ever made me cry. And that's a true fact. If you're a fan of smiling friends and Adventure Time, I'm sure you'll like this one.
25 outrageous Florida man antics that seem too crazy to be true.
I initially didn't plan for this one to be after Midnight Gospel, because I don't have a whole lot to say besides you should watch it, but the two honestly have a lot more in common than you'd expect. It's Florida Man, released on HBO Max in 2024, with Season 2 just dropping a few months ago. Produced by the creators of The Righteous Gemstones, this anthology series features dramatized tellings of stories that could only happen in Florida. You know, about Florida men. There's a guy who got his arm bitten off by an alligator, another about polyamorous hillbillies, beef between mermaid performers at a nude bar, you get the gist. But kind of like Midnight Gospel, these are all real stories that are being retold by the people who did these insane things. That fact alone adds a level of comedy to these stories that wouldn't be possible if they weren't true. But that's not all. Not only do we get to hear these people's perspectives on what happened to them, we also get treated to A-list actors dramatically acting out exactly what they're describing. It's comedy gold. Celebrity names include Randall Park, Tiffany Haddish, Jake Johnson, Jeremy Renner, Adam Devine, and way more. It's crazy to me that a show with a guest star list of this caliber hasn't made a bigger splash. The editing in this show is also unbelievably sharp, with some jokes only landing so well because of a quick cut or a smart use of interview audio. There are definitely episodes that are better than others, usually due to how batshit crazy the story is, but it's such a good show to just throw on and it'll genuinely have you shocked at how some events wrap up. So if you're a fan of The Righteous Gemstones and Duck Dynasty, you want to check this one out.
Kevin. Go f yourself.
If you haven't noticed already, I really like shows with a seemingly simple premise that turn out to be anything but. And there might not be a better example of that than Kevin Can F Himself. Originally premiering on AMC Plus? What? In 2021, this show follows Allison McRoberts and her husband Kevin. The show starts off looking like a mid-2000s multicam working class sitcom, very King of Queens-esque, with the laugh track, cheesy unnatural dialogue, the works. However, as soon as Allison leaves the room to get Kevin a beer, the entire show shifts into a drama. The lighting darkens, the music slows, and you slowly realize that this is the real world. And Kevin's sitcom world is all just a facade. He's not a dopey, lovable protagonist. He's just a really shitty husband who lives life as if he's in a sitcom, free of consequences, constantly surrounded by his adoring friends, and all without any regard for his wife's life outside of him. In universe, the two have been married for years, and it's in the first episode that Allison decides that she's finally had enough and devises a plan to kill her husband. The whole premise of how awful sitcom behavior would be in real life is really compelling, and they drive that home by committing hard to the tonal shifts whenever Kevin enters and exits a room. As I mentioned, the show starts off multicam, but that's only the case when Kevin is on screen. So by the end of the show, it's honestly a jump scare whenever the show goes from looking like Dexter to looking like Friends, just because you know who's coming. Annie Murphy gives a fantastic dramatic performance as Allison and really makes you feel for her twisted situation. And Eric Peterson, who's someone I really hadn't heard of before the show, absolutely murders the role of Kevin and rides the line of psycho horrible husband and typical sitcom dad so well. I can't sing the show's praises enough, and while it's currently not streaming anywhere besides AMC Plus, I'd try to watch it the first chance you get. If you're a fan of King of Queens and This Is Us, you should go check it out.
You are gay. Why are you gay?
Now this one is for my girls and my gays. Overcompensating released on Prime Video in May of 2025 to a decent level of social media hype, which did allow it to score a future season 2, but I still think more people should check it out. This show follows Benny as he heads off for his first year of college, sometime in the early 2010s. Back in his small conservative hometown, Benny was kind of that guy. He was captain of the football team, prom king, valedictorian, a real local legend. However, Benny has been hiding a big secret all that time. He's gay.
You're gay.
Once he gets to college, he tries his best to blend in as the straight jock persona he's built for himself. He joins a frat, he hooks up with a girl, but he still feels unhappy about not being himself.
You're gay.
But over time, and with the help of his new friend Carmen, he's able to start actually enjoying freshman year and eventually accept himself. Now this show isn't just your average going to college coming of age story. It's also one of the funniest shows I've seen in a minute. Since it's set in the early 2010s, we get more than our fair share of the time millennial cringe comedy, but it's also mixed in with one of the best representations of Gen Z humor I've ever seen in a show. And as a member of Gen Z, I can say it's so refreshing to finally watch a show about young people where the dialogue doesn't sound like what a 55-year-old thinks young people should sound like.
You're gay.
The premises of the episodes aren't exactly revolutionary for a college show. There's the frat hazing episode, the party episode, the fake ID episode, but what really makes the show stick out is how sharp the writing is and how well each actor fits into their roles. Benito Skinner, who Benny is actually based off, kills the dramatic and comedic sides of Benny, while Adam DiMarco absolutely steals every scene he's in as the douchey frat bro Peter. This one definitely isn't for everyone, but I found myself having such a good time with it that I'd feel remiss not to put it on here. If you're a fan of adults and Charlie XCX in general, you should give this one a try.
That looks cool.
Now before I get into this one, I just have one question for everyone. Who drew the dicks? American Vandal was released on Netflix in 2017 and received a second season the following year. The mockumentary series kicks off with high school senior and known vandal Dylan getting expelled for spray painting dicks on a bunch of teachers' cars, something he swears he didn't do. After catching wind of this story, sophomores Peter and Sam launch an investigation in order to find out who did do it, or if it was Dylan after all. What really makes this show shine is how much it commits to its premise. Each episode is filmed just like a real true crime documentary, featuring one-on-one interviews, dramatic voiceovers, shaky camera movements, the works. Honestly, you could show this to someone without telling them the premise, and there's a genuine chance they believe it's real. At least at first. The premise is very silly and lends itself to exactly as many dick jokes as you'd expect, but the show just really excels at bringing you into the world of its characters and builds such an interesting mystery that kept me on my toes the whole time. As soon as you think you know who drew the dicks, a new suspect will arise that you never would have even thought to expect. Truly gripping mystery television. If you're a fan of What We Do in the Shadows and Community Season 3, Episode 8, I think you're gonna love this one. The other two premiered on Comedy Central in 2019 before its second and third seasons came out on HBO Max in the years coming. Now the premise of the show is pretty simple. It simply asks the question, imagine how shitty it would be to be Justin Bieber's older siblings. The show follows siblings Carrie and Brooke Dubeck, as well as their internet famous tween dreamboat younger sibling, Chase Dreams. Like I said, Justin Bieber. Carrie and Brooke are both in their late 20s and really struggling in their careers. Carrie being an aspiring gay actor who's determined not to get typecast, and Brooke being a real estate agent who has to squat in the home she plans to sell just for a place to sleep. The two are both obviously happy that their 15-year-old brother is achieving superstardom, but they also can't help but feel jealous of the fame and fortune, and ultimately try to get some for themselves. The show functions as a solid commentary of how toxic and often misleading the concept of fame is, especially for kids, while also using that same premise to its maximum comedic effect. My favorite episode is probably Chase performs at the VMAs. It features Chase wanting to sing a stripped-back, auto-tuneless version of his hit song Stink at the VMAs. The only problem is he's actually a horrible singer and no one around him has the balls to say it. The episode is a hilarious parody of what goes into an artist's first award show performance, but also how the people around celebrities can create an echo chamber of praise just to keep themselves paid. The show is laugh-out-loud funny and also a really unique parody of the concept of celebrity. If you like The Studio and I Love LA, please check this one out. And that's my list. If you made it this far, I hope you came out of it with at least one show you're planning on watching, because honestly, creating even one new fan of any of these shows would make me so happy. Please let me know in the comments if you've seen any of these and what you think about them. Is Jury Duty actually mid? Was I dead on about Kevin can himself? I want to hear it all. That's all I've got for you today, so as always, stay anti-critical.